You've been to Thirdborn before, right?
1,000 times. Why?
Have you ever eaten at the Dead Swordfish?
Once.
Oh, it's terrible, right? Temerity keeps raving about it, but I think there's just nothing else in town.
You're talking about the ragfish stew, right? That stuff would peel the bark off a tree.
Oh, that's delicious.
The last time I had it, I was bedridden for days. I don't know how they eat there every day.
I had a buttermilk biscuit there once. Spent the next week in the privy.
You just gotta soldier through it a few times. Builds character and a strong stomach.
The dream scourge is getting worse. First our land, then our animals. Now our people. If we don't put a stop to it, we're looking at the end of the living lands. How can anyone expect us to do both? As if the dream scourge wasn't enough of a problem, the adherents are profiting off our misfortune. They haven't come to help us. They're here to exploit our weakness. The steel garrote are a weapon. Who do you think wields them? It's too bad. We're fighting for our lives, our souls, and our freedom. I don't know if we can win all three. You really think so? My apologies for acting cynical, but it feels as if nature, politics, and even the very gods are working against us. I don't appreciate being backed into a corner, but here I am. Despite everything that's happened, I'm so grateful to be working with Yatsli. In many ways, Quilichi has been like a second father to me. But Yatsli, she's like my dirty aunt who's up to no good. Well, she's an expert in that field. While I have your attention, I've been thinking. Why is Inquisitor Ludwig suddenly interested in godless ruins? She's a smart one. I'll give her that. We should be ready for anything. Something tells me Ludwig isn't finished with us yet. What's on your mind? Go on then. You too.
Thirdborn. If it weren't for the Leviathan skeleton in the middle of town, I'd hardly recognize the place. Well, that's what I'm trying to nail down. You ever come back to a place and feel like the buildings are smaller and the colors are duller? And home just wasn't the same. Thirdborn was always this rugged oasis. Dangerous and out of the way, but bursting with vitality. It was a harbor for larger-than-life types. People like Capo, the Leviathan Slayer, and Tama. Glory seekers, trophy hunters, warriors trying to leave their battles behind. People who built around their stories and their scars. I guess it felt like one, too. Hardtack and Merc brew after a long day's patrol tasted better than any feast. Being back, it felt like we were watching Thirdborn die a slow death. Left is a generous way to put it. I think what's eating at me is that Thirdborn seems rudderless. The Dream Scourge is one threat. Conflict with Adir is another. The Living Lands is changing, and Thirdborn feels like a barnacle on a moving ship. Temerity's leading them as best she can, but towards what? What are we doing out here besides surviving? Or it'll go the way of the godless and their ruins. Not sure which idea makes me more uneasy. What about you? You were sent by your Emperor to investigate the Dream Scourge. Since then, you've died, met a secret god, and gotten swept up in tensions between your empire and our scattered settlements. You released Igwolf, but you didn't stop the Steelgrowth's attack on Fjord. Do you know what you're sailing towards, or are you drifting with the tides? That kind of clarity is rare. Thanks for talking. I hope Thirdborn is able to find its way somehow. A marker of his service to Thirdborn's defense, and something that helps his comrades identify his remains, if needed.
You always hope it won't come to that.
You hope it won't, but you know it might. It's an old Rauatayan naval tradition that Thirdborn's kept alive, and another debt I owe him. The story goes that a lot of the first arrivals were Rauatayans without other prospects, too low on the ladder to take over the family trade, too poor to learn another. Exactly. Rauatai's an inhospitable environment, to say the least, so my people have a proud tradition of seeking our fortunes elsewhere. Rauatai's got a big navy that always needs fresh blood, and there are plenty of opportunities for large, colorful mercenaries and bodyguards all over Aora. You got it. It's hard to say when Thirdborn was properly founded. It started as a convenient harbor for pirates and mercs to lie low. Bold, or desperate, fishing crews from Rauatai would follow seasonal catches out here. Over time, those early arrivals built huts, a proper harbor, and walls to protect them from all the hungry things in the desert. Well, that brought in a steady trickle of veterans, ruffians, trophy hunters, and rugged eccentrics. People looking for fresh adventure, or running from the consequences of their old ones. Bit of both, I guess. I've got a lot of memories here, and the longer I stayed away, the harder it felt to come back. Who, me? I just don't like change. Thirdborn's missing a lot of familiar faces. And the youngsters who've grown up and the new arrivals, they seem green. Like they're cut from a different cloth, a more delicate one. I guess a lot's changed in 6 years. Thirdborns only survived because the people were tougher than the wilds. I just hope the people living behind those walls know how to keep them standing. I can take watch. I'll be up a while anyway.
Listening to Yatsley's thoughts about godless ruins is one thing. Bringing her along for the rest of the trip is something else. I don't know, she's alright, okay? But how would she know how to get to the garden? If she's read anything about the garden, it was written centuries ago. Obviously, things have changed since then. Bothered? Pedraku. It's my job to guide you as safely as possible. What you're doing isn't safe. I'll go along with whatever you decide. Just don't be disappointed when she doesn't show you what you wanted to see. Anyway. Fine. You've been patient enough, I suppose. Right. Solace isn't an easy place to live. The food is stale and meager. The water tastes like steel and old meat. Everyone knows everyone else. No privacy, no silence, no time to yourself. Solace is a walled keep in the harshest region of the lands. Isolated is an understatement. Honestly, all of that was fine. But there was a peculiar kind of silence I didn't love. You should be a sharpshooter. You keep hitting the target. I have only the faintest memories of my parents, which was fine. I had friends and mentors and trainers and elders. When I asked about my real parents, though, they just told me I was safe now, and that the wardens were my family. I never knew if my parents were alive or dead. I like to assume that they had died fighting some giant monster in the tusks, but no one would say. When I asked for more, they changed the subject. Like I wasn't worthy of a backstory. I'm from Solace, for whatever that's worth. My oldest memories are of Solace. My oldest friend is from there. Right. You asked. Until next time.
For the camp of an official Adiran envoy, I was expecting a little more. A proper bed, at least. But I suppose this will do for now. As long as you have a bath, of course. I always ask nicely. But as riveting as it is to complain about our accommodations, I imagine you have another topic in mind? Well, because I'm the foremost expert on the godless, of course. So I must study their artifacts when I can. Unfortunately, it's been quite some time since I've met another who focused on the godless as I do. And I imagine I'd be more knowledgeable on the subject than anyone else you could find. Technically, yes. Well, it set me on the path, at least. When I got my first grimoire as a child, I was trying out some of the fancy new spells I'd been given. I was attempting a simple illusion spell, but I must have slurred my words. The next thing I know, everything was on fire. That was my assumption as well. Barrett's balls. It's nice to know I won't have to dumb things down with you. What is childhood but for silly things? When else can you get away with arson? My father was able to pull me from the flames as my mother doused them. I burned myself badly enough to give myself some vivid dreams, but the house still stood at the end. Of course. Now I only burn those that deserve it, like mosquitoes and university administrators. The only lasting damage was my burn mark and the dreams. Usually I enjoy a bit of pain. But this was a bit too much. I wouldn't recommend it. As delightful as you are, we've much to do and less time to do it in. Shall we go? Did you have many friends in Third Born?
Sure. Why do you ask?
I was just thinking, I only ever saw you. You with Tama.
Well, he led our patrols and defenses. We had a lot to do.
Seeds of change, their petals sprout across the barren land. They sing to the unwanted ones, and the unwanted ones sprout in turn. The soil remembers what it once was. It will soon be whole, safe. A name given to the land, not asked for. You see why the parasites are loathed? The soil does not want these cities. It yearns for silence, for the kestrel song. But first, the sprouted ones will grow. They will bring the stillness and the bird song. The air was not meant for voices. The soil was not meant to carry buildings. We want all of them gone. We wish for life to flourish again. Efforts paid in blood, they lie to the earth, to themselves. Death nourishes the soil. All things come from the rot. The spider devours her mate to lay her eggs. We ponder, dream of shifting sands now. We will speak again.
Never had a chance. Bravo!
Get off me!
We've got something! What in Remergon's 10 frosty balls are you doing here? How did you even find this place? Well, I don't smell his rumstick flop sweat on the wind, so he can't be nearby. He must have sent you to do his dirty work. Go on, then. Try to kill me. I know that's why you're here. You might not. But Nagunu? He's been trying to kill me for years. The man's obsessed. Oh, we robbed him. Well, Koa and I robbed him. That way just stood around while we did it. Not sure he even noticed. That's funny. Now tell me what he really said. A little reunion. Cute. What did Taue and Koa say to that? Well, my answer's the same either way. No. I'm sure he put on a good show for you. And shit, maybe he really is lonely. But I have no doubt he's been up in that little lighthouse of his in Thirdborn plotting our demise.
So no, I won't share a drink with him, and you can tell him I said so. I don't care what Tawe does, and Koa should know better than to trust him. Much as I miss our best days, Envoy. They're not my crew anymore. So long, Envoy. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.